Hey everyone, Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel here. Today's unboxing and review is on the Eibos Oceanus 3-in-1 automatic resin cleaner. Now, Eibos contacted me to ask me if I wanted to carry out a review on this. I'd already done their polyphemus dual filament dryer, so why not give it a shout. Now, on my channel, you would know that I specifically work with FDM and lasers, but why not venture out into the resin world? Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to unbox it. We're going to run through the actual setting up of it, and we're going to go through how to actually use the touchscreen that is on there. So as you can see, first out of the box is the user manual. Not too much on this, so it's going to be relatively easy to set up. Now, this is probably just going through some of the settings and how to find things and what the contents of the box is. So in the booklet, it just gives you the touchscreen options. So we'll go through that a little bit more later on in the video. So with this, you've got automatic pumping and draining. So it fills up and drains by itself. It's got a large air volume drying unit. Also the blade or the propeller at the bottom is a super torque washing. It's got 96 individual UV lamps for curing. So you're going to get an even amount of curing. So some of the post-wash and curing systems don't always cover the whole of the print, so you have to turn it over, but this seems like it could do a lot better with that. So as you can see out of the box, we have the power unit. So the power cable for my country, which is UK. Now, at first, I actually thought the power brick was going to be a plug-in, but it's actually attached to the machine itself. So when you actually remove that, don't tug too hard because it is actually physically connected rather than pushed in, which not so sure about that one. I prefer to have little pushing cables, but once again, it's no big deal. So like I said earlier, it's got a touch screen, so you can select all your options on the top. It has a memory function, so you can program it into a specific way that you want to actually clean and dry and cure. It has open protection, so when you lift up the lid, it actually stops the machine, but there is a way of bypassing that for video purposes, which I'll do, but I wouldn't suggest it, being that it's alcohol and resin. You don't want to splashing about. Now, as you can see, straight out of the box now, nice compact unit, quite futuristic looking, almost like a fridge. So at the top, you can see, you open it up, you will find the pipes, which is for the inlet and outlet to actually bring in your alcohol or water if that's what you use. And the one thing I have noticed is these pipes are quite rigid. Now, I know that this could potentially be an issue, especially if you don't have a very good unit to remove that. So next out of the box is a little container. I guess that's just for post-cure processing if you want to put your print into it. And as you will see, fully installed basket, and then the touchscreen is on top and quite a reflective lid. Looking around the back, you will see the inlet and outlet connection point. So that's a screw thread, so shouldn't be anything that will pop off. And at the bottom, just the air vents for the motherboard and the actual power unit. So let's have a look now over the machine a bit more in detail. So the first item in the instructions manual is to grab the inlet and outlet hoses. So that's what we're going to do. It's quite simple to connect up. It's going to be a screw thread setup, so you don't really need to be a scientist to do that. You just want to make sure you want to sort of stretch out these pipes. Like I said earlier, they're very rigid, almost like a washing machine pipe. So I'm not quite sure why they didn't go with the more flexible hose so that it was a bit less curl to it. So what I'm doing right now is just trying to straighten out as much as possible. I do have a container and I've bought 5 litres worth of alcohol, so 99.9% alcohol. But you can use water if that's your water washable resin print, so you can do that as well. So we're going to connect up both pipes, and then we'll go on to the next step, which pretty much is to basically get started straight away. So it is literally plug in, connect up your hoses, and away you go. There's no complexity around this setup at all, apart from the fact that these pipes are so rigid. And what you do really want to be careful is that whatever container you're removing and putting in the liquid, is those pipes don't pop out, because potentially whatever's in the actual unit itself is going to either be all over the table or all over the floor, and you really do not want that sort of alcohol spread all over your front room or wherever it is that you do your printing. So what we're going to do now, I've connected up the socket, just going to plug it in, and then literally just turns on. There's no on-off switch at the back. It's all touchscreen completely. So we're just going to run through it now and have a look over the screen. Okay, so as you can see, the screen is really reflective, so apologies if it's not very clear. But as you can see, you can select the water levels, so you've got low, medium and high, and that depends on the size of your print, so just select that. The next one is your resin clean, so the amount of time that you want to wash it for, the amount of time you want to dry, and the amount of time you want to cure. And then the play and pause function. So it's as simple as that. On and select your function. Okay, so now I need to put the alcohol into this container I've selected. I'm not entirely sure whether I should put the pipes into this 5-litre bottle, because obviously it was already filled to the top. I just didn't want any accident. So I'm going to use this container. I'm not completely sure this is going to work. Like I said, the pipes are really rigid, so I'm probably going to have to hold them in place until I come up with some sort of solution for that. It'd be interesting if anyone has this, whether they have anything out there that they've done to sort of deal with this rigidity of these pipes. So it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on that. So whack any comments in the description, and just feedback what you think of this if you have this already. So I'm always open to suggestions. Like I say, I'm not a resin printing person. I'm more FDM and lasering. So this is all new grounds for me. So as you can see, we're going to put the inlet and outlet pipe into this. Hopefully we should have enough. Like I say, I've got about 5 litres. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is demonstrate how this works. So you turn it on, you get your touch screen lit up. So I don't want any curing or drying at the moment, so I'm going to turn all those off. We're just going to fill up the tank and see how that works. Now, normally, if you lift the lid, it will just cease action. It won't actually allow you to do that anymore. So we're going to go for the low amount or medium, whichever it is. So we're not going to overfill it. And to actually do that, I need to hold the pipes in place and then actually press play. Now, I'm going to connect up a magnet, and kind of the way the lid works is it shuts down, doesn't stop. It doesn't allow you to actually do anything. But to be able to combat that, you can just put a magnet. And as you can see, as soon as I put the magnet in place, it's creating that loop. So it allows me to demonstrate what actually happens. Now, like I said earlier in the video, this isn't something I would suggest doing. This is just so that I can describe, as we're going along through this video, what is actually happening during this process. So right now it's filling up. So the alcohol is coming through the inlet pipe straight up to the minimum line. And that's the selection that I've chosen. You can see these little lines that I'm pointing at now. These are the different levels of height. Now, it's all very dependent on what print that you're putting in there. So if it's some small prints, you don't need to overfill it. It just saves time. And also, once it's stopped, it will just stop there. And basically does the wash. So the next step would be to show you the wash part. Okay, so I'm adding a bit more alcohol in again. So I've selected the minimum line. So as you can see, it's filling up right now. And then once it hits that minimum line, it's going to go straight into wash. So I've selected that on the touch screen at the top. I've got my magnets on there, so it's allowing me to describe and show you what actually happens. And once it stops, you will notice that the propeller just kicks into action, and that will then create a vortex for you to be able to wash your prints. And that's what happens when the lid is shut. Okay, so the next step I want to show you is the dry function. So once again, we want to turn off anything that we don't want. We've selected the dry function, we've hit play, and I'll add the magnet, and then you should be able to hear the basically the fan kick into action. As soon as you hear that, we'll just put a piece of paper in front of it, and then basically you'll see that there's a lot of airflow, and that dries your print. So that's the second part. So you've done the wash, it then goes into the dry section, so you can select how long you want that to happen. Obviously you wouldn't have the magnet in place and it would dry your print. And then the next step would be to go into your curing. So let's select cure, press play, lift up the lid. As you see it cut off, put the magnet on, and then you will see your 96 LED light. So this is going to cure your print evenly all the way around. So that's basically the whole setup of what happens to your prints with the lid shut. You can just leave it, come back, and it's all done. Now a quick word from today's video sponsor, PCBWay.com. PCB Way are currently holding a Christmas event. On their page, if you click on the Christmas section, you'll find lots of great deals such as coupons if you spend over a certain amount of money, which is really, really great if you've got lots of projects coming through. So that's PCBWay.com. So they also have other Christmas sales, so definitely click on that link too, and the little Santa Claus Christmas badge. That's PCBWay.com, today's video sponsor. Okay, so back to the Eibos Oceanus. So I've carried out a print on my resin printer. I've gone for this beautiful pink translucent print, and this is of a monk. So we're just going to scrape it off the build plate, and we're going to put it into the actual resin cleaner. So this is where we find out how this actually works in practice, rather than just sort of filling it up and having a look to see how it works. So we're going to just put this print straight into it. There's no basket that actually sort of pops out like your traditional wash and cure systems. We're literally just going to plop it in there. As you can see, the supports are on there. I always wear gloves like you should. Also got my magnet on there again, like I did earlier on in the video. And you just want to select an angle to put it in so that you know that you're going to get complete coverage. And then you also want to select what level you're going to go for. So for me, I'm going to go for the medium this time. So once again, with the touchscreen, you're going to select what levels you want. So I've chosen medium. I'm going to run it for about 8 minutes on the wash, and probably about the same amount of time on the dry, and then about the same time on the cure. And then literally you just press play. So I just want to make sure the pipes are connected into the actual container, and then press play. Like I said, I've got the magnet there so we can actually demonstrate how this works. And you can see that the reservoir is being filled up with the isopropyl now. Once again, just take some care with that. If you've got any concerns and you do want to make sure it's working, just put some safety glasses on. I've got a pair on as I speak now, and a pair of gloves if you're actually touching any of this stuff. So you just want to be mindful of the fact that the alcohol splashing about could, if it goes in your eyes, not going to be too good. So as you can see, it's filling up now. So I've selected the medium level, so it should fill up to halfway, and that will completely submerge this print. And then it will go straight into the actual vortex of mixing and cleaning. So that's kind of where we're kind of stop there for now and just let it do what it needs to do. I'm going to put some little bit of music on for you to watch now. Okay, so now that's completed, we're going to take the print out. So this has been air dried and cured following the cleaning part. And as you can see, the print now is ready to be basically all the supports taken off. And then we can show that print at the end of this video just to see how it came out. But from what I can see, it pretty much let it be done. So I've done another print, but I believe this is slightly too big for the actual reservoir. But I think we can probably put it in at a certain angle so it actually does it. And that's what we've done. So looking at how I've done the setup, so I've actually put the inlet and outlet pipe into that 5 litre container now. And I just left it, went away from the studio, come back, and everything was done. So I've also got another little print. That one's been washed and cured now. Like I say, I had to put that at an angle. And then I just put this Mandalorian print in as well. And that's going to run through its cycle. And then we come back and demonstrate that one as well. Okay, got another print in there now. So I'm just making the selections for what I want the actual Oceanus to do for me. So that's pretty much everything. And then once you've selected everything, you just press play and it does it all for you. So you'll notice the print in there that I have now is a Mandalorian. So this is actually a hollow print. And what I noticed while I was actually filling this reservoir is that it started to float. So later on in the video, you'll notice it's actually the opposite way round. I did have to stop and restart this to be able to submerge the actual print in the alcohol, because obviously it would be partially cleaned. The other thing to consider is the volume for this. So definitely check out the volume size for this. So when you're doing prints, that would be a deciding factor as to whether you can actually use the Oceanus for that. My dragon print that I did, I could only partially submerge. And this one is fine. Now it's upside down. And then after that, we'll demonstrate some of the prints that and just showcase that. So this is the Oceanus.
Yeah, I'm in the zone, time to showcase the tech. 3D printer spinning, yeah, I'm cashing the check. From the nozzle to the bed, I'm dissecting the grind. Laser beams cutting through ahead of the blind. Stay tuned, I'm breaking it down, click and subscribe. 3D UK, where the vision's in play. From the printer to the beam, I'm leading the way. Watch me as I review, giving thoughts that are raw. In this tech game, I'm beating every flaw. Now I feel them in flowing, layer by layer we rise. I dissect the specs and check magic with my eyes. Engage as I craft, yeah, build like a king. With lasers precise, hear the sound of me sing. Zooming for the truth, watch the brilliance unfold. 3D UK, where the vision's in play. From the printer to the beam, I'm leading the way. Watch me as I review, giving thoughts that are raw. In this tech game, I'm beating every flaw.
Okay, that's the end of this review of the Eibos Oceanus 3-in-1 resin cleaner. So as you would have seen earlier on, basically the unboxing is nice and simple. Couple of pipes and literally plug it in and you're away you go. Gave some feedback on what I thought about the pipes being very, very stiff. And I think what they could have done was gone for a more flexible pipe, especially with the fact that you are sort of having to rig it up. The actual machine doesn't come with any reservoirs, external reservoirs, apart from the actual unit itself. It's just the pipes, the cable and the unit. So you do need to rig up something. So I've gone for this container. So inside is a 5-litre container of alcohol with the pipes in and out. And I've kind of put it into this big 25-litre drum as well. And the reason for that is if there's any spillages, it's all contained within that. So it's being sensible, because with alcohol and resin, you don't want that all over wherever it is that you're working. Just before this end of the part of the video, you would have seen some of the prints that I did with that. The dragon print that I did obviously was way too big for the reservoir. So like I said, make sure that whatever prints you do take into consideration the build volume of the actual Oceanus. I'll put on the screen that build volume of the internal part. But the quality, the fact that you can literally put in your print, put in all the time in, so for the amount of reservoir fill, so low, medium and high, the amount of time that it's cleaning, the amount of time that it's drying, the amount of time that it's curing. 96 individual UV lamps, so the coverage is amazing. And as you see from those prints I just shown, it does a great job. Having not been the type of person to do resin printing, I always find it very difficult for the post sort of operation of it. So the print inside of it is nice and easy, but it's always the cleanup and the drying and the curing. I always found that a real chore. So having something like this, which is a 3-in-1 option, I literally just plopped in the print and walked away, put all the settings in, walked away, come back, everything was done. And I didn't see any issues with the prints at all. So it does exactly what it's supposed to do. There are some issues with the pipes, which we've mentioned several times in this video. And I know across the community, anyone who's got this has had the same sort of feedback. So it might be something to consider in the future for Eibos to actually consider the pipes. There could even be opportunities to actually have an additional pipe selection, so you can go on their website and purchase some new pipes, so you don't have to go for a whole new unit. It's something really simple. Now I've reviewed 2 items from Eibos, and both times I've been blown away by the quality. And like I say, it does exactly what it says on the tin. So this is the Eibos Oceanus 3-in-1 resin curing system. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up and leave any comments in the comment section. If you have this, if you've got any feedback, if you have had any issues, it's always great to hear from the community what your thoughts are on these machines. So that's Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel, and this has been the Eibos Oceanus 3-in-1 resin cleaner. Take care everyone. Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel.